Hello, everybody. Welcome into a pre-Computer America show. It's a great program tonight. In the first hour, we're going to be talking to Zaniac. We have the president and co-founder, Sid Oberoi, here with us tonight, and talking about Zaniac and Zaniac Campuses and some of the really cool things that they're doing with STEM. And we have him here the first hour. And then the second hour, we've got onLoop is going to be here. They have amazing technology that lets you stream live video using your smartphone, your cell phone. It's just an amazing technology. You don't need the whole studio with you. Basically,
you don't need the whole rig. Like, it's all in your phone.
It's all in your phone.
1 minute until showtime.
So sit back, relax, enjoy the show as we begin 2 hours of Computer America. Oh, and don't forget, tomorrow night is E3. Okay, we're going to be out at E3, so looking forward to that as well. Okay, so here we go.
Well, I mean, technically today's E3. It's just tomorrow's our coverage of E3.
That's true. We're covering.
That's it.
Okay.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into another edition of Computer America. We have them Monday through Friday, 5 nights a week. And boy, oh boy, do we have a great show. Now, it's really exciting because we're really on the cusp. Tomorrow is going to be our big show. E3, of course, is out in full regalia. The convention, the Electronics Entertainment Exposition, and lots of things happening. A lot of announcements. We've had many of them in our computer news in the past day or so. But tomorrow we're going to actually be joining our companions. We've kind of partnered up with Pop Zara Magazine. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Pop Zara Magazine, is going to be out there. We're also going to hopefully have Josh Boykin, who is our gamer correspondent on a regular basis. Grayson Hamilton is going to be out there. Corey, a whole bunch of people that we usually talk to, and they're going to give us the real scoop as to the inside stories of what's going on in E3. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully all of you will join us tomorrow night on our big E3 show. It's going to be both hours of Computer America, all about E3.
It'll be fun.
It will. Yes, exactly. Now, tonight, we have a very interesting show. In the second hour, we're going to be joined by a company called onLoop. This is amazing technology. It allows you, with just your smartphone, really, it'll allow you to stream live video at any event that you're at. So if you're at a concert, you don't have to shoot a video and then play it back later or upload it later. You literally become a TV studio. You can actually broadcast the live stream using your smartphone with this onLoop technology. We got the company's CEO to explain it. It's going to be a fascinating hour, and hopefully you'll join us there. Now, if you have a comment or question on either of our hours, you certainly can give us a call. 347-884-8881. That number will get you on and get you through. 347-884-8881. It's the best way to get in touch with us, and you can talk to our guests. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room. from our homepage at computeramerica.com. You'll see right there on the homepage itself, it'll say show lounge/chat. Okay, if you click on that, it'll take you to the live streaming video that we do here in Computer America. That's right, because we're not only a radio talk show, we also stream live video, so you can see myself, you can see Ben, sometimes you can see the guests. Certainly you can see websites. Ben has the ability to demonstrate some of the things that we're talking about, and he has the technology to do that. And you'll see that in our show lounge. If you go hover over that, you have an option going for a full screen chat. So if you want to open up a separate window and have the chat filling the full screen, you can do that too. So you have a choice. You can do both if you want. You can go to the show lounge, watch the video, and then go open this the full screen chat, and you can do that as well. So it's all available. Everything we're talking about again tonight at computeramerica.com. So as I said, we've got lots of things to talk about. Let's get to our first hour guest. Ben, anything you want to mention before I introduce him?
No, you did a fine job, sir. Fine jobs. Yeah, no, he's been waiting patiently. We should probably get him on.
Okay, all right. Well, as I mentioned, Zaniac is like school at its best. Okay, it's an active, inspiring place that is filled with friends and friends to be, where real math and technology learning is fun. Okay, Zaniac Campuses offer K-8 after-school programs and summer camps in Minecraft. Oh, can you imagine that? Minecraft. Can that have a course in Minecraft? That's wonderful. Really, absolutely. But also computer programming, Lego, robotics, Zane Math. I don't even know what Zane Math is. Okay, let's find out.
I would guess it's their new proprietary math system. It's base 8, and yeah, no. Don't believe any of that. It's no idea. Let's find out though.
Right. Also, chess. Now you're the big chess fan. I understand. Your mom would bring you as a little kid to the chess matches. You say, "Want to play?" And then as a little kid, we'd kind of brush.
Well, for anyone who is kind of confused right now, Craig skipped the part where I'm sure even many of our listeners remember bookstores. The old school ones.
Yeah.
We used to go to Books A Million every night, and as kids, we used to play against everyone, and it was tons of fun. Chess, and I'm really glad that Zaniac is offering courses, because chess, really did help, shape me to be who I am, and for better or worse, that happened.
Well, it's a good thing you weren't the queen, though. Maybe the king. Okay.
we don't know yet. It's still too early.
Okay. And also even touch typing. I mean, they have it all there. Their campuses can also be used for homework center, Edison Club activities, and yes, even birthday parties. Now, joining us is Sidharth Oberoi, president and co-founder of Zaniac. Sid, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Thank you, Craig. I'm doing really well. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Glad to have you here. So what is Zane Math?
So Zane Math is our proprietary math curriculum. So Ben kind of got it right, where it is actually based off of Singapore math. The idea is that Singapore is one of the world's leaders in mathematics, and we modeled our math curriculum after them, recognizing that they constantly perform really well on the TIMSS test, which is a worldwide administered test to rank all the countries against one another. The United States, for a point of reference, is ranked 18th on that list. So it's a very non-traditional form of learning, accustomed to what we learn here in the United States, where we take a nonlinear approach and learn normal operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division within 4 to 5 weeks of one another, rather than spreading each of those out over 3 to 4 months, because we try and teach kids about how each of those operations relate to one another.
Well, we have lots of things to talk about here, and I certainly want to get into it. So we're going to back up just a little bit here and talk a little bit about Zaniac itself, and then all the other things that you teach there. Why did you feel, why was it necessary to create something like Zaniac? And what's the story about it? Why was the company started?
So we initially started the company and formed our LLC back in 2012, but the concept's kind of been brooding for many, many years. I was actually running a company based out of Stanford called Think Math at the time. That was an after-school program where we taught math in schools after school. So at the time that I was running this organization, my co-founder, Paul Zane Pilzer, his kids were actually enrolled in the program, and some of my instructors were teaching them. And one summer while I was actually private tutoring his kids, he and I got to chatting, and he found out that I was 17 years old at the time. And naturally, he has this knack for brooding young talent and developing them into presidents and CEOs of companies over time. So he told me about this idea that he had for Zane Prep, as the company was called at the time, and Zane Math, trying to make this a much more streamlined business and recognizing that there was a real marketplace that existed in after-school tutoring, and that there were so many different organizations that existed that catered to individuals that were behind in math, but there weren't enough in organizations that kind of catered to individuals that were ahead of math. So that's how Zane Math began, and we really started recognizing that we wanted to cater to both kids that needed to catch up, but also those kids that were looking to get ahead and weren't challenged enough in school. So we launched our first center in 2012 and started teaching utilizing the Zane Math curriculum in 2012, and we got a lot of good positive results from it. We saw kids that were doing great in schools and were really improving their grades and getting 2, 3, 4, 5 grades ahead in math.
Wow.
And we were really excited about that, but we started to get a lot of demand from individuals that were saying, what do my kids do when they're done with Zane Math? They're taking these 6-week modules of math and they're getting 4 or 5 grades ahead in math. What do they do next? So I recognized at the time that STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math, was very popular, a very emerging, trendy subject at the time, and thought, hey, why don't we try and get into STEM? There aren't very many STEM centers across the country that exist that are teaching real science learning to kids, and we certainly aren't getting enough of that in schools. So naturally, we started to look into different opportunities that might help expand our curriculum offering and appeal to kids, and we started with Minecraft. And utilizing Minecraft as a tool to teach learning. So that's where we came up with our first STEM class, or our first technology class, called Game-Based Learning Minecraft, where we use it as an educational resource. So kids are playing the game and they're learning subversively. We teach them about natural resources and non-renewable resources and the different biomes in Minecraft and how those translate into habitats and reality and environmental science and physics and a plethora of other things. And then the ball just started rolling from there. We recognized, hey, there are a lot of games out there that we can try and translate into learning tools and learning resources for kids, and kind of try and trick them into learning, but still providing real academic advantage to the students that are coming by our center. So after Minecraft, we developed computer programming using Scratch from MIT. Then we developed a computer programming class using Python and the Pygame library, then Lego Robotics, 3D printing, and the rest is kind of history. We keep on unveiling new curriculum over time.
Wow.
I'm all for tricking kids using video games. That's what we're all about here. And it wasn't too long ago, and for whoever, everyone who sees me says, "Oh, Ben, you're just like 5 years out of elementary school. Good for you." But I'm not too far removed. Like, I remember vividly my time in after school care, and I had I was lucky enough that I was never really behind. I was always I always got good grades and things like that. But after school care provided by the school was I had fun there, and I had friends there, and it definitely kept me in a place where my parents were sure I was safe and all, but it didn't really provide much of in the way of advancing yourself, especially since, hey, you're at school, you should be able to do something. But I mean, there was like chess club once a week, and then there was and then you go outside and you play for 4 hours, and then your parent comes to pick you up. Like, there's not all after school care is equal. And I guess
Right.
You kind of took the whole tutoring children who are behind, and then also helping others that are more advanced, help them get even more advanced. Like, you guys are doing it though in ways that I think I've never really heard of in an after school care program.
Yeah, we're all about engagement, and we've really gotten away from this whole notion of tutoring and put ourselves into this enrichment space where we recognize that kids want to be challenged, kids like to learn new things, kids like to be exposed to a variety of different activities, and that's really why we don't see a lot of kids in their future when they get to college getting into STEM, because we're spending less and less time during the school day learning about technology. I mean, we use technology as a resource to learn math and reading, but we're not learning about how to create that technology. And that's kind of what Zaniac is all about. We give kids the skills that they need to build their own app or build their own computer programming game or build their own game using computer programming. And it's really fundamentally pivoting from, hey, you could stay after school and do these different activities that the school is providing, or hopefully you can take a bus and go to Zaniac, take a Zaniac bus, or hopefully your parents can take you to Zaniac and be at a Zaniac center. If anyone online visits, or anyone listening visits the website, zaniaclearning.com, you'll see that it's a very fun and vibrant space. It's very colorful, it's very exciting and inviting, and kids have a fantastic time while they're here. It's all about getting them excited and engaged in the different curriculum that they're taking or learning about.
Now, there are other companies that I've heard of before. I have to admit that I had not heard of Zaniac before, but I've heard of Sylvan Learning Centers, Mathnasium, Kumon. How are you? What makes Zaniac, I guess, different from these tutoring sites and companies? How are you different?
I hate to say this, but I really think it boils down to one word. It's fun to be at Zaniac. It's really about fun. We make it exciting for kids while they're here. We take a very non-traditional approach. It's not about one instructor teaching 15 kids, where you'll see at some learning centers, or one instructor working with 3 different individuals. It's much more about kids being ready and excited to engage with the instructors that they're working with. And that's kind of a unique thing that we have to offer. The instructors that we utilize at Zaniac are high school's honor students that are interested in majoring in STEM fields, or individuals or college students that are actually majoring in STEM fields and doing research. And the interesting thing there is we think they're much better equipped to teach K through 8 students than their normal 30, 40-year-old teacher that may have lost their passion about teaching. They're much more well-versed in technology, obviously, and they're really passionate to share this knowledge with the K through 8 students, and they functionally serve as their role models. I mean, what better exposure can you give a K through 8 child than a biology major that is doing research in a lab and is working on a thesis project and telling the student, hey, this is what being a biologist actually means, or this is what being an electrical engineer actually means. And that's kind of not something that you commonly see in these other learning centers. And then I guess the other part of it is most of these other learning centers that you mentioned explicitly, Sylvan, Kumon, Mathnasium, primarily only teach math and reading, whereas we are, once again, in that enrichment space where we're teaching the science, technology, and engineering components beyond those as well.
Now, you mentioned STEM a number of times. We've had Intel on the show talking about STEM as well. There's a lot of talk about STEM. Why is
it's a sorely lacking field in this country?
Yeah, and why is it why is it such a hot topic in media coverage today? What's the big thing with it?
I think there are multiple different reasons, but I think the most prevalent reason is a study that oftentimes many companies, including Intel, point to, that indicates that by 2020 there will be a shortage of about 3 million jobs due to unqualified workers in the workforce to fulfill STEM qualified jobs, and that's kind of what we're missing, right? Where we have a bunch of individuals that are majoring in these different fields, but they're not qualified to fulfill these different positions because they're majoring in something else, because they're not either interested in STEM, they haven't had exposure to STEM, they don't have the skills to be equipped in STEM, because at a young age they're not getting the exposure that they need. They're fundamentally just focusing on math and reading, and while those are very, very important, and I don't think anyone around the world would dispute that, we're not giving kids the resources that they need to be ready for the workforce in the future. And that's a lot of what Zaniac is about too. Every one of our classes focuses on what we call 21st century skills and what individuals in education call 21st century skills. And they're exactly what they sound like, skills that you need to be prepared for the 21st century. And that's critical thinking, collaboration, communication, problem solving, all these different types of skills that Google and Facebook and all these big companies will test you on in a job interview rather than just strictly looking at your resume. And we're trying to pass that knowledge on to our students at a young age so they're well equipped to deal with these types of challenges in the future, to be able to problem solve, to be able to fundamentally pinpoint a problem and create a solution for it.
And it's important to get it started when they're young too, right?
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering that because for a lot of people, if they don't see it in high school, like a little, if anything, then the first time, especially anything in the STEM field, the first time they actually see it is in higher education, is in college. Most people get a basic level of algebra, maybe some geometry, and hopefully some calculus. But I mean, these are very complex problems for people who are in college and seeing it for the first time. How do you kind of, I don't want to say dumb it down because obviously these skills are still applicable, but how do you simplify it to where K through 8 can actually learn something?
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head, Ben. I think it's not about dumbing it down. It's about creating real-world application to these different scenarios. I think, for instance, when we talk about computer programming, I think it's getting across to the students that they too can create these different kinds of websites or games or collages, whatever it may be. And realistically, we have a lot of cool and unique resources that we're utilizing. I mean, there's awesome software out there that really enables kids to create really cool projects. I mean, within computer programming and our Scratch program or the software Scratch provided by MIT, you can create the game of Minecraft if you spend enough time really working at it. And it's just a fun interface that enables kids to really see a visual appeal, and it's all about having a project they're working towards, having an end in mind. So realistically, we're getting across these multiple different messages, and we start at a very fundamental level. For instance, in computer programming, we're not worried about the syntax for a third or fourth grader. We're starting them off with the logic behind programming. We teach them about loops and sequences and iterative development and debugging. How do you approach all of these different challenges that you're going to be confronted with simply by manipulating different blocks, and then we'll get them into Python and actually hitting the code hard. Or if we're teaching them about physics, we talk about real world application there too. Like we'll have them play the game of Minecraft where they'll build a minecart roller coaster, and we'll talk about them being on a roller coaster, and we'll talk about Newton's laws and force equaling mass times acceleration, and talking about the transfer of kinetic energy to potential energy on a roller coaster, and all of these different things that they can really start to understand. And we're not really having them solve equations right away and do complicated calculations. It's more of a, can you understand how these concepts work on a fundamental level?
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into a little bit more about Zaniac itself. How many I guess the Zaniac campus is an actual physical location, or is it a virtual location?
It's a physical location. So it's a big space where we have 4 to 5 classrooms, rows of iMacs, 3D printers, robots, and all kinds of iMacs floating around the place. It's pretty fun. So
how many are around, and where are they located?
So currently we have 4 across the country. We have 2 in Utah, 1 in Salt Lake, where I'm speaking from, 1 in Park City, 1 in Greenwich, Connecticut, and we just opened last month in South Miami.
And I take it each one of them requires a sizable investment to get started. So you have to, I guess, how do you choose the areas where you're going to open one of these things?
Yeah, it's a decent investment, but it really does pay off pretty well. I mean, the business opportunity is pretty tremendous for individuals that kind of be a 1 to 2 year cash on cash return if they're getting into the business. So I should say that the 2 locations in Utah are corporate owned, and our other 2 locations are actual franchisees that are opening those locations. Yeah.
So it's a franchise.
And then we're franchising.
All right,
Yes.
so it's a franchise-based
absolutely.
system. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so you have your 2 corporate ones. It's sort of like act as the models, I guess, if you will. You have people who come there who are interested in starting a franchise. What kind of investment are you looking to begin a Zaniac franchise? What kind of investment is needed?
Yeah, it kind of depends on a variety of different factors, but it's anywhere from 200 to 300,000 to really get everything off the ground, and that includes the build out and acquiring all of your furniture and your fixtures and all the technology that we have integrated into the system as well.
And what about the location, the building, or what kind of facility do you need to have Zaniac run in?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for anything that's between 2,500 to 3,000 square feet, so not super big, and we've kind of seen it all across the board. I mean, the one in Salt Lake City and the one in Miami were previously restaurants, and we've converted them into Zaniac facilities. Our one in Greenwich is on 2nd story retail above a CVS pharmacy. The one in Park City is in more traditional of a shopping mall that has like 25-foot high ceilings and a lot of fun space to work with. But we're looking for 2,500 to 3,000 square feet where you can have a fun open area for the kids to kind of work in different classrooms.
So,
yeah, we're definitely looking to grow, and I should mention that we'll be opening 4 locations in the next 3 months. So we'll actually be doubling in size. We're opening up in Westport, Connecticut, Manhattan, Boston, and Santa Monica in August through September.
All over the country.
Wow, exactly.
Yeah, we're definitely across the board. Pretty coastal right now.
Wow, exactly. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we just pointed out, and it's good. Someone wants to call in, and they can't find the phone number. It looks like we don't have it on. Used to have it on our homepage. We need to put that back. Look at that. We'll fix it. But it's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Our website is a work in progress. It's a next generation. We just started it up in the past week or 2 weeks, and so we're just fine tuning it.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about. Now
Zaniac is an after-school program, but I guess during the summer you don't have after school. School is out. Yay, America, where kids get 3 months to forget everything they learned. So what do you do then? Do you have summer programs?
That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. We don't want this 3 months of complacency and not learning anything, or moreover forgetting everything that you learned throughout the school year, right? And that's a serious problem that exists within the United States. So throughout the summer, we have summer camps that go every week through the summer. We have one offering in the morning that's 9 a.m. to noon, and one that's in the afternoon from 1 to 4 p.m. And we're offering different camps of our different products every week during the summer. So here in Utah, in the mornings, we're running our robotics programs, and in the afternoons, we're running our 3D printing and chess programs. So we have a different theme that's running each morning and each afternoon for 12 to 14 weeks during the summer to keep kids engaged. And realistically, we see, particularly in August, a lot of parents starting to sign their kids up for Zane Math in August to make sure they didn't forget or do a refresh on what they should have learned the previous year, as well as trying to get them geared up for what they'll learn in the ensuing year.
Sid, we have a caller who has a question for you regarding Zaniac. His name is Shane. Computer America, Craig Crossman. Hey, Shane.
How you doing, Craig?
Hi, how are you? We got Sid Oberoi here, president and co-founder of Zaniac. What's your question for him?
Hi, my question is I don't know if you've heard of Project Blue Sky, the initiative to try to train people, or more specifically young children and young adults, and more digital skills and marketing and photo editing, things of that nature. Does your company or do similar things with the students? I mean, are you trying to really push them into the digital age, and where there's where most jobs are now thriving?
Yeah, Shane. Well, first of all, thank you for calling in. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're definitely into the notion of getting kids into the digital age, and that's kind of what we're all about. So obviously, Craig mentioned that we do touch typing, and that's kind of the prerequisite into getting into the digital age. But some of our new courses that we'll be working on over the next couple of quarters include doing a full Adobe Suite website or Adobe Suite curriculum where we teach kids about Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, et cetera, et cetera. We're hoping to do a website design or a web design course in the future as well. Some of our existing courses utilize a lot of advanced digital skills, like utilizing Inkscape and GIMP to create your own different graphic images and utilize them either for fashion design purposes or app creation purposes, or creating your own mods in Minecraft with Java by creating your own images that you're embedding into Minecraft utilizing GIMP. So we're definitely about getting kids to understand and recognize that there's this whole new element that exists in the 21st century, and that is the digital element. And when you even look at artists today, they are designing they're designing clothing and sneakers and accessories and all these different things digitally, and no longer just doing it traditionally in your pencil and paper format.
No, I'm sorry. May I ask him one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
So obviously, no one can be well versed in every one of these areas. No one can be, an expert in all the things you just mentioned. So is this mostly volunteers just coming in and giving their time and explaining how these things work, or do you have paid employees that have specific background skills that are professionals teaching these children?
We have paid employees that are well versed on the curriculum that we provide for our students, and we really provide pretty extensive training, and the curriculum that we write is kind of geared towards not necessarily the students learning it, but moreover providing college and high school students the ability to teach it to students. So we'll find and we'll scour kids or instructors that are well versed in Photoshop or Illustrator, or what have you, and make sure that they're ready to pass out.
Just 1 second.
Break. We'll be right back. This is Computer America.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
I hope you're old enough for this next bit. It's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Elevate Grill. It's roughly the size and shape of a carry-on bag with a broad, flat base and a big square handle up top. But this case can pack a lot of heat because Elevate Grill is a folding, toteable 2-burner gas grill. It uses propane in a bottle, the 16.4-ounce canister you may see on a torch used to solder pipes, for example. When you separate the handles and swing them down, they become support legs for the 2 flat grill sections that hinge down to horizontal. Behind their grates are square burners with a AAA cell-powered ignition spark gap on each. The gas bottle connects anew for each use and stows inside between uses, an arrangement enforced by a separate regulator connection designed to not travel well when it's connected. Each of the 2 grates is roughly a foot square, so if you're feeding 1 to 6 people, you may be able to cook it all in one pass. Bottom line, the Elevate Grill is a cool new way to make gas grilling a portable feast. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 34 minutes past the hour. You know, we have one commercial break every hour. It's not like we used to have, 4 or 5 back in the day. We have one.
Yeah.
And we still run up on it. So, Shane, sorry we had to drop you there. Great questions. And just for the sake of clarity, didn't mean to cut you off and run it short. Sid, who again is here from Zaniac, he is the president and co-founder. Where exactly are you getting your teachers? You said that some of them were paid and some of them were grad students who are trained to teach these students, right?
They are all paid, and they're high school honors students as well as college students majoring in the STEM fields. So
they don't need like with an actual teacher with a teaching certification or something. What's the requirements to teach a course at a Zaniac campus?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely vet our instructors to make sure that they're proficient in teaching the material. So before any instructor actually gets into the classroom, they're shadowing other instructors, making sure that they're proficient on the material at hand. But kind of going back to what we were speaking about before commercial break, realistically, a lot of it is about the lesson plans and making sure that we have the right tools and resources to enable our instructors to teach the students. And moreover, it's about the instructor's personality. I mean, we're looking for a very interesting instructor that isn't shy about being really into math and science or engineering or programming. They kind of wear that on their sleeve, and you can kind of tell that's the type of kid they are, but not your traditional stereotypical one of these children. It's moreover, we're looking for the extroverted students that can really bond with the students that they are teaching. So looking for extroverted instructors that can bond with the students that are teaching, and recognizing that they want to share their passion and their knowledge with the students specifically.
Who sets up the curriculum? I mean, the courses, how is it structured? Can you give us a little overview, or is that up to the franchisee, or there are certain guidelines that they have to follow?
Right. So the curriculum, to answer your first question, is kind of set up by corporate. I mean, all franchisees are required to use the curriculum that is provided by corporate, just because we want to have quality control and make sure that all the franchisees are delivering a similar experience to the students. Obviously, we can't deliver the same exact experience given the variability with instructors, but we want to make sure that they're following the lesson plans, and we have a great team here at corporate that develops the curriculum and provides it for the students. In terms of the structure, we have a couple of different models, like we were talking about before the break as well. During the summer, we have summer camps that run Monday through Friday for 3-hour increments, either in the morning or the afternoon, or you have the option of coming to Zaniac full day and spending 5 days or 35 hours a week at Zaniac for 1 week and learning our content. Alternatively, we have 6-week programs throughout the duration of the school year where kids come after school or on Saturdays and take a course for a for 90 minutes at a time. And those are, once again, 6-week courses. So 9 hours of total instruction that they're going through, and kind of something that the kids look forward to on a weekly basis, and being like, hey, I have computer programming every Thursday at 3:30, or we even have multiple kids that are taking 2 to 3 courses every week just because they're so excited and stoked to come here.
Wow. So this
like honestly, when I read up about this, I was sad that I didn't have something like this when I was growing up, and I was also kind of sad that like this is the kind of thing, and we've talked about with Intel, we've talked about it with a lot of other experts in the field, that this is the kind of thing that I don't want to say it's going to save society as we know it, but this is the kind of thing that's going to help put America back on top in terms of education and jobs in the coming years. And the fact that you can't get this kind of thing from public schooling, and a lot of private institutions aren't even this invested in STEM, in STEM education. I mean, good on you guys for really, I guess, filling a need that a lot of people have identified, but no one's really come up with a good way to conquer it.
Thanks, Ben. We really appreciate that. And I mean, you're right. There's just so many shortcomings that exist within schools, and it's really not schools' fault. I mean, we recognize that there are funding shortages, and there's just not enough time in the day. And kind of based off of the way that the United States education system works, we're just not spending the resources in the right capacity to make sure that kids are getting everything that they need. And when you look at other countries around the world, I mean, I was born in India and I have a lot of relatives there. When they're done with the school day, they go to after school tutoring, and it's just something that they expect to do for an additional 3 hours after the school day is done. And whether that's learning some new material or it's simply getting tutored and being better at the material that you've learned throughout the duration of the day. And that's not something that you see in the United States. And I see that as part of the reason that we are falling behind, and recognizing we need to start providing those additional resources in some capacity. And Zaniac is definitely an avenue that's hoping to cater to more students nationwide.
Now, you use something called hands-on game-based learning. What do you mean by game-based learning, and then why is it advantageous over other forms of learning?
Yeah, so this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Minecraft, the idea that we utilize games to subversively teach the students, right? So they're playing the game, they're doing everything that they would normally do, but we have instructors that are providing them lessons and showing them cool tricks that they can do within Minecraft. But when they show them these cool tricks, we talk about the science behind those cool tricks, right? So we talk about having collisions and what momentum means in both Minecraft and in physics. Because when we look at Minecraft and we're trying to go up a hill, we recognize that requires more force. And if you don't have gravity working with you, you'll go the other way. And we actually do some interesting calculations with Minecraft where we actually, I mean, Minecraft, believe it or not, does have some sense of gravity. And you can actually mod the game or modify the game and add your own gravity mods. And we can do some cool calculations with that. So that's kind of what we mean by game-based learning. But you hit another point there in terms of hands-on learning. That's what we call kinesthetic learning. And that just means that the kids are actively engaged and manipulating different items to make sure that they further understand the subjects. And that's kind of more important with the younger kids when they're learning math and they're using different manipulatives or objects to solve their problems. But you see that with older kids when we start to teach them electrical engineering. I mean, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Arduino, but we teach kids about microcontrollers utilizing Arduino, which is just obviously a mini computer that enables them to create really cool projects. And we also use little bits in our curriculum where kids are creating things that are applicable to their everyday lives. I mean, they can set up their own notification system utilizing little bits that lets them know when they need to water a plant every day. And they can then integrate that with our robotics curriculum, which will tell them when they need to, which will automatically turn their robot on using Bluetooth technology and the logic for their little bits to turn that robot on and actually turn the motor and make it water the cup or water the plant with a cup.
Well, you
So
know,
there are so many different things that we can do.
well, again, when you get into computer programming, I remember when my first introduction to computer programming was something called Logo, when you had a turtle and you put in the programming, the turtle would move or draw, you could turn left, turn right, that type of thing. And then, of course, basic programming, beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code. And actually, what you were typing, you could actually make the computer do things by typing these sets of instructions. Do you teach? What do you use? What programming languages do you teach kids? How do you teach computer programming to them?
So we utilize Scratch from MIT, is a big portion of it. We also teach Python, utilizing the different libraries that exist within Python. And then we use Java actually to teach kids how to modify the game of Minecraft itself.
Okay.
So we're in a couple of different languages.
All right. So these are some. What kind of programming concepts would you? I mean, you teach them about looping and subroutines and that type of thing.
Basic logic. It sounds like.
Yeah, so we definitely teach them basic logic, and then we kind of teach them more advanced things, utilizing the different libraries that Python has to offer. But yeah, our introductory course definitely focuses on sequences and loops and basic ideas like that, and making sure that they understand the process of going through programming, recognizing that everything doesn't always work on the first time. And that's a major point that we want to get across to students, because at a young age, oftentimes when you're doing something like this, you immediately get disheartened.
So we
want to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, with the programming, obviously the computer's going to do what you tell it, not what you mean for it to do. So and you learn that really quickly in programming. And then the challenge is to kind of reel it in and kind of get the computer to do exactly what it is that you intended. And it's nice. I'm gratified to see that these things are being taught, but not in maybe as dry a fashion as that I had to learn it, and it's in a more entertainment. I mean, is it a good thing to wrap these things in a robe of entertainment, or is there something that, or should they really learn? Okay, well, learning.
Or should they be falling asleep continuously?
I mean, the learning for the sake of learning and understanding. I mean, that some people say, not all learning can be completely entertaining. There's a little pain involved from time to time. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it should be wrapping it in a robe of entertainment. I don't think it should be about kids falling asleep, obviously. And I think most people would agree. I think I understand what you're trying to say, though. Right. I think it's more about getting across the point and showing kids that there is an end goal, right? Showing them, hey, this is a project that you too can complete as an 8, 10, 12-year-old, whatever it may be, and show them that this is a project that other 12-year-olds have completed, and it's something that they get excited about, and they start to challenge themselves and say, hey, if one of my peers could do this, why can't I? And then once they have a project that they can play with that one of their peers may have created, then they get passionate and try to emulate it in some capacity, or create their own game, which is really cool to see kids. And the fun thing is when they have finally hit that aha moment and made their breakthrough within the code that they're doing, it's awesome to see the light in their eyes when they're stoked to share it with everyone, stoked to share it with other people in their class, with their instructor, and you really see that they've learned a tremendous amount. And then we kind of require them to explain their code to everyone else and make sure that they have a fundamental understanding of what they actually did. And they didn't, I mean, this isn't something you can obviously do in code, but it might work in little bits, but you didn't randomly throw things together and it somehow came into a cohesive project.
No, I completely understand that.
Programming great, robotics amazing, all that stuff. Like it's definitely skills that are going to be very applicable in the future for these kids, and that's awesome. But we've talked about it a couple times, and as we said earlier, I have a soft spot for it. Why do you teach chess?
It's a question that we often get. I don't have the I don't think I have the right answer for you, but we do think that chess is a great game that kind of focuses on logic and really gets kids excited and building confidence. I think there's a large perception around the world and that exists that smart people play chess and know how to play chess, and that kind of goes back to what you're talking about. Chess is kind of dying as a game across the world, and we kind of want to bring it back. And my co-founder is actually very passionate about chess himself, as he played chess on the world level or on the world scale growing up, and kind of wants to share that passion with everyone else. But moreover, when we teach a kid how to play chess, we really are giving him a multitude of different skills. Obviously, we're teaching him logic and problem solving and strategy and just a whole lot of tact. But moreover, we're building their confidence and letting them know, hey, they also know this game that might be reserved for people who they perceive to be smart. And it just gives them a whole lot. They get a lot more excited about being able to play a game like that.
Right. What is a typical Zaniac course cost a parent to do this? And do most of the kids have computers at home that they can go home back to? I mean, what kind of economic, I guess, level are you looking at here? For what?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely across the board, and it definitely depends by market. Obviously, we allow our franchisees to charge what they feel is appropriate in their market, because we know that individuals in different locales can charge a higher rate for some of the programs that we have to offer. So it varies anywhere from $150 for a 6-week course to $499 for a 6-week course, or $299 for a 5-day 15-hour camp to $499 for a 5-day 15-hour camp. So it's kind of across the board. The great thing that we do is, with all of our courses, is we make sure that the content that we're teaching them is pretty accessible at home. So making sure that the software that we're utilizing is free and something that they can access at home if they do have access to a computer. So we are presupposing that either their parents or have a computer, or there is a household computer, whether or not it is their personal one. We kind of have a mixture of students that do and do not have their own personal computers or laptops. But we want to make sure that kids can continue their learning. It's not about just learning at Zaniac, that the learning doesn't stop here. We really want to foster the curiosity for students to continue to pursue their own activities and projects outside of Zaniac and really create something cool in the future, because our ideal goal, or our ideal end in mind, is that they end up majoring in a STEM field in the future. They go on to college and they go fulfill those jobs that we don't have qualified workers for in the workforce in the future. And that's really what we want to get across.
Now, do you have a favorite program or courses that Zaniac offers? Just out of curiosity, do you have a particular favorite? I don't have a favorite. I do love all the new courses that we're developing. So in Q1, just because those are probably the closest to home, because I'm working on proofreading or helping develop them. So in Q1, we just created an app creation course where kids make their own apps, which is really cool. And then they can put them on the Google Play Store. And we kind of even teach them about the business side of things and selling your app and talking about how you make money. Do you charge for your app, or do you do you have in-app purchases, and how do you monetize the game? But another one that we are making for Q2 that'll be launched the first week of July is a fashion design course. And this is a topic that we haven't really touched upon too much, but I'm really passionate, and Zaniac is really passionate about getting more girls involved in STEM, just because there's a fundamental shortage of females in STEM across the nation and moreover across the world. But we're hoping that with the creation of a fashion design course, we might be able to appeal to some girls that are also interested in this subject and teach them about the technology integration that goes into fashion design and the different programming elements and the graphic design elements that are required to break into fashion design in the future. And I was actually reviewing and working on this course a little bit earlier today with one of our curriculum specialists, and it's really fun, and I'm really excited for that to be launched and have kids start doing these different types of activities. Have you thought about offering some course in like using 3D printers or 3D printing? I know that's we do have a 3D printing course. So we launched 3D printing back in August
of 2014, and we're actually, as I mentioned earlier, we're actually running camp here this week. Our afternoon camps are 3D printing camps.
All right, well, that's good. Yeah,
so realistically, our 3D printing focus is more on 3D modeling, but the kids definitely get to print their own. They get to print one object a day as well, but they spend most of their time doing the 3D modeling and understanding how to make their ideas come to life.
And they get to take them home, I assume, right? Whatever they make.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, well, we have a few minutes left here. Where do you
all this focus on learning, all this focus on getting kids ahead, all this focus, and then you say, you know what? We're going to let kids have birthday parties here. What's up with that?
It's really funny. We never thought that we would actually be in the birthday party market, but we just started getting kids asking their parents, hey, could I have my birthday at Zaniac? And we're like, hey, you like Zaniac enough to actually throw your birthday here? Yeah, let's make an offering that caters to kids. And since we made that offering, kids have just been signing up for it willy-nilly. It just we kind of have a birthday party here at least 2 to 3 a month, if not one every week.
Wow.
Where kids will invite 10 to 20 of their friends. They'll come over to Zaniac and we'll have a slew of different activities to expose them to STEM curriculum. So we'll let them play Minecraft. We'll teach them some Minecraft lessons. We'll do traditional arts and crafts. We'll program some Legos. We might do Lego battle bots where the birthday boy will have a really cool robot and it might battle some of the more inferior robots that are created. We'll show them the 3D printer, or they can theme a birthday party to any of the specific programs that they have. We've had a straight up 3D printing birthday party, which was pretty cool, where the kids spent the entire time modeling different things and then they printed it out at the end of class at the end of the party.
What a genius way of, because obviously you're inviting kids who have never seen a Zaniac and the parents bring them and then the parents see that. What a great way to get more kids to enroll, because they can say, this is
awesome marketing mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, what a great way to pull them in. I mean, to let them sit for a day and play with all this stuff, and they're going to say, hey, I want to do this on a more regular basis, not just wait for my friend's another birthday. I would think that's a great way to get them in. And I assume the parents bring the kids, so they watch all this happening and they see it for themselves, right?
Exactly. They probably have never been to Zaniac either. They've probably heard this birthday boy or girl talk about how great Zaniac is. So this finally gets them to the space to drop off their own child. And the great thing about Zaniac is when you're here, you don't want to leave, whether you're a child or a parent. It's just that exciting of a place. We actually have students on a daily basis asking their parents if they can stay for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes longer, doing whatever activity they're doing, or parents are just enthralled by seeing their kids be so excited by what's going on. And then parents also often ask us if they can take courses here and how they can learn more and make sure that their kids are learning these different ideas at home.
Wow.
After they're done with their courses.
So you don't have to really go out and pitch. I mean, it sounds like it sort of sells itself.
And
to get the brand out into the community, it definitely does.
Yeah, and real quick, we only have a couple more minutes. Have you been around long enough that you can start seeing some results? Have parents come back and said, my kid is, now getting A's where he used to get B's or C's? Like, what's the response from the parents?
Oh, yeah, good point. Good question.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, individuals that are either coming for homework center help or for Zane Math are seeing dramatic increases in their grades. I mean, we've definitely turned D students in math to A students by taking a Zane Math course or just getting homework help here. And that's just a big struggle that a lot of parents have, whether it's homework or mathematics. They don't want to be viewed as the teacher. So they need someone else. They need a different outlet that's helping their child succeed. And we don't want to strain the relationship that parents have with their students just because that's such a special relationship. We want to make sure that it is positive, and why not provide, if there are resources out there, why not be able to provide your student with an instructor that can help them and kind of learns or knows about how the new way that math is being done, whether it's through Common Core or teach them neat tips and tricks that they know and share that with your child.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it all depends where it is. I guess they can just go to the Zaniac website and see if there's one in their area, and if not, I guess they can certainly put in requests to have a Zaniac in their in their area. How long does it take to get something like that set up in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the point of request, or if you're interested in opening up a franchise, the process takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months. If you are interested in being a franchisee, we definitely encourage you to visit our website at zaniaclearning.com, and there is a section that talks about owning a Zaniac. But if you're interested in opening or going to attending a Zaniac, go to our website, zaniaclearning.com. We're currently located in Utah, 2 locations, and one in Salt Lake City, one in Park City, one in Greenwich, Connecticut, one in Miami, Florida. We'll be opening up in Westport, Connecticut, Manhattan, New York, Boston, Massachusetts, and Santa Monica, California in the next 3 months.
So a Zaniac franchisee owner doesn't necessarily have to be involved with the actual teaching process, right? I mean, they can
No.
Or they can just provide the
They hire
financing.
their instructors, they
Yeah.
hire their campus manager, and Zaniac Corporate provides all the training to make sure that the instructors are ready to go, that the campus manager is ready to go, the owner is ready to run the business. I mean, we have a plethora of resources that really that makes this process easy. I mean, we are a technology company, right? So we've really streamlined the process to make life a whole lot easier for our franchisees, all the way from marketing to your clientele, to facilitating the curriculum, to having an e-commerce system that enables parents to buy online, as well as a learning management system that enables parents to track their students' progress over time. And that's all included in the franchise business.
Well, Sid, I guess this has been a real eye-opener. We're pretty much out of time. I want to thank you for being with us here tonight. Again, you go to computeramerica.com, and you can, right there on our homepage, you can see everything about Zaniac. Just click on it, and we have links to the website. And check it out. This is whether you want to be a franchisee or just have your kids attend a Zaniac or a Zaniac campus. All the information is there. Sid, thanks for being with you. Very eye-opening. Thanks so much for being with us here tonight at Computer America.
Absolutely. Thank you, Beth, for the opportunity. Have a great evening, Craig. Have a great evening, Ben.
Okay, take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So there you go. Again, Zaniac.
I really like that one.
Yeah, I do too. Exactly. Well, of course, coming up in the next hour, we're going to have...
Because you know why?
Why?
More kids get into STEM when they grow up, more fans of Computer America.
That's true.
We are huge in the STEM field.
Yes, we are. And we
here at Computer America like nerds, and we like to get nerds young.
Okay, don't forget tomorrow night, of course, is E3, our coverage of E3 with Pop Zara Magazine, Nathan Evans, Josh Boykin. It's all coming up. But right now, we're going to be talking to onLoop. It allows you to stream live using your smartphone. It's an amazing technology. We think you're going to find it really interesting. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. As always, have a terrific show planned for you tonight. In the second hour of the program, I believe we're going to be doing computer and technology. No, actually, we're not. It's a fun day here at Computer America. Always having fun things. Hopefully, all of you are having a wonderful Tuesday and are enjoying the program. And in this hour, we're going to be talking about something called onLoop. onLoop. Okay, interesting company.
Yeah.
Now, let me just tell you a little bit about onLoop. According to them, onLoop lets you simultaneously share your experiences and engage with others via live, via video streaming. You can create a subject based on a chat, which is basically, or your loop. Okay, they call them loops, and you can make it public and start streaming right away. This is a very interesting concept and something that we thought we would bring to you here on Computer America, because we always bring you things that are different, that are current, cutting edge, and certainly want. I certainly think
and turning live events into interactive chat room, kind of viewing places. Hey, that's that's very novel.
Yeah. Now, if you have a comment or question and you want to give us a call, you can. It's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. Or you can go to our chat room right from the Computer America homepage and just hover under our show lounge, and you can join in the Computer America chat room. But I think we should bring our guest on right away. His name is A.K. Sands. He is the CEO and founder of onLoop. AK, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me.
AK, unusual name. Is it initials or?
It sure is.
No one ever called you 47 for short, did they?
Just an ex-girlfriend of mine.
Well, welcome into the Computer America show. This looks really, really interesting. I've been on the website. I've been looking at some of the features that you present to people. And I just kind of gave a real quick overview. Why don't you let our listeners know exactly what onLoop is and what makes it different from other apps that are like it?
Sure.
If there are any that are like it at all, actually,
Well, that's a great question, and we don't believe that there is. And the reason is we looked at traditional live streaming, and of course, you've got a lot of terrific apps out there like Periscope and Meerkat. But what we found was each one of them is sort of one way. So, for instance, they'll show you somebody driving to work, or potentially somebody showing you the refrigerator or doing a monologue. And they're somewhat very limited in that respect. It's hard to give you a full picture of what's going on. So we thought about this and we said, well, when you're watching, for instance, media, whether it's TV or movie, it's very rare that you see one single shot of something that persists. And there actually was a movie many years ago by Andy Warhol called Sleeping. I don't know if any of you ever saw it, but essentially what it did was he filmed somebody sleeping for 5 hours. Interesting approach, but very tough to sit through. And we kind of used that as sort of a metric on what we didn't want to do. So when we developed crowd streaming, we thought to ourselves, well, if I'm sharing something live, and if it's a wedding, or let's say I'm going to a concert or a sporting event or my kid's soccer game, I want to see all the different perspectives I can. I want to see, what the goalie's perspective is. I want to see what the coaches are doing, what the kids are doing, what my son's doing, what his friends are doing. So we created a way for people to, with their iPhones, go out and all stream in the same loop. And a loop is essentially, like you discussed, which is a chat. And people can go on to one of the live streams, and by swiping left or right, they can follow or essentially go to a different perspective. So it becomes this really unique experience that's somewhat immersive, because you get to choose the path you want to follow in sort of viewing your media. And we thought that was just such a more unique approach than to just have sort of one person doing it. And I'll give you an interesting example today. So we have a bunch of guys who work for us, and we call them thrill junkies. And our thrill junkies, we send them out to live stream different events. And one of our thrill junkies is a famous stunt motorcycle rider named Gunner. So today, Gunner decides he wants to test out crowd streaming. So he puts his camera on his bike, and there's some other cameras, some additional perspectives, and he decides he wants to do wheelies down Sunset Boulevard. And it was very interesting, not that we condone that, of course, but it was very interesting to see the different perspectives of an outside shot, him actually doing it, a shot of him close up while he was doing it. It was very, very unique and very, very exciting. We thought, it's time that these traditional media had this multidimensionality, and that's what we try to achieve with cloud streaming.
So onLoop, like, you could do all this by yourself. Is it you need, like, this can only be done with a smartphone, or you can hook up other devices? Like,
that's
multiple viewpoints?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, the whole point of it was to make it collaborative. So your whole family could live stream a wedding, and they could each give their own viewpoints, and then outside people could watch. We're currently working on an integration with GoPro, where we're going to allow GoPro, we're going to connect to GoPros and allow those to essentially live stream within our loops. And we think that would be pretty revolutionary in an app to show something of that caliber.
Oh yeah, for sure. This has such an interesting use case for extreme sports and things like that, because people love to film themselves and people love to watch extreme sporting, BMXing, biking, and all that kind of stuff. But you're right, it's been almost impossible if you didn't have a crew with you to do multiple viewpoints.
That's a very good point. In fact, that's one of our key approaches right now, is to target extreme sports. And in fact, we currently have 25 professional skateboarders, snowboarders, and skiers who are sponsored by us, who essentially go out, film their events, create these different stories around what they're doing, and then the fans can watch what they're doing. So that's exactly one of our biggest markets right now.
That and I just think that's so cool. And like, this is again meant to be viewed live, right? Like this isn't okay. So you can essentially get one big stream, so then you can record it and then add in all your special effects later. Like this is meant to be like chatted about, watched live, done live, and seen as it's happened, but just from again multiple viewpoints.
Yes, correct. And actually, what we did do was we put in the capability. We actually put in the ability, rather, for the what we call the broadcaster to be able to text back and forth while he's streaming. So, for instance, let's say you have 500 people on a live stream, and they're texting to whoever's broadcasting. He can actually message them back while on the stream. And the reason we did that is we wanted to make it interactive as well. So, for instance, we are now building shows using this technology. And one of the shows is with one of our stuntmen. His name is Tad. And the show is actually pretty fun. It's called Fast Cast with Tad. So Tad is an accomplished gymnast, stuntman, and he walks up and down different metropolitan areas, and people can interact with him on the app and say, can you bet that guy to do 10 push-ups? And he'll walk up to somebody and do 10, bet the guy $5 to do 10 push-ups. Or somebody can say, hey, can you do a backflip off the wall? And he'll go and do a backflip off the wall. And that whole interactive experience has really changed how we're seeing people react to media. And it's been very, very revolutionary for us to see that.
Wow. Well, so basically you're saying if a total stranger says, jump off a building, you're going to go ahead and do it.
I think if there was a nice air pad for Tad to land on, it wouldn't be something out of his mindset.
I remember my folks saying, just because somebody tells you to jump off a building, would you do it? Well, I guess they would say, if I had onLoop, that might help. But that was before the days. Yeah, exactly. No, but real quick, why did you feel you needed to add the feature where you could message back? Because I completely understand the point of a live feed and then having a streaming, list of what people are saying and what people are talking about. But did you say that you can message them back? Because you could just look at the camera and say, well,
so and so, you know, blah, blah, like you could just talk to the camera because again, it is live and interactive. Did you say that you can message them back?
Yes, and actually that's a great question. And the reason that we built that in is if you're in a concert and you're live streaming, it can be very hard to talk back into the phone. So we wanted to have the capability where they could do that. Or for instance, if they're intending on doing something and don't want to interrupt the live stream, for instance, let's say they're in the front row and they're live streaming a band and they're going to go to the VIP area, they can simply text, go to the VIP area next. So it's a way for them to stay engaged without sort of interrupting the progress of the stream.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. This is definitely not your mom and dad's app, obviously. Mom and dad probably even have an app. But
hey, you know, I was just, you know, you say not your mom and dad's app. You can make a pretty good, you know, you can make a pretty good cooking show using this thing. So, you know,
yeah, you could.
Huge audience.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think so. It's an interesting way that you're combining all this multimedia communication technology and kind of combining it into one app that kind of uses all those things. Can I ask, how'd you come up with this?
It's actually a great question. It was one of those things where we had an aha moment over 18 months and just continually evolved and continually evolved. You know, we started very, very different to the end product, of course. And our initial start was we're all big football fans. And we would continually watch games on Sundays and Saturdays. And we get in these large group texts. And what we found was it's an incredibly inefficient platform to communicate. And what we also found, and this was before you had the ability to leave a group text, was you could be on this text and you would be stuck. You couldn't get it off your phone. You're continually being notified. And it was a very invasive experience, to say the least. So we originally developed onLoop as a communications platform for messaging. And then over the next year, we started seeing potential fits on how we could make messaging and socially connecting better. And then that developed on a very specific path. And then what was interesting was when we thought we had a really good product, we thought, you know, the next evolution that we're going to do is we're going to integrate live streaming, because our approach is going to be, let's target video gamers. Because at the time, and still, well, now obviously you have a couple apps, but at the time, there really wasn't a good platform that you could live stream a video game to a phone and watch. So we thought, you know, here's a definite need in the market. Let's approach that. And then at the same time, right when we went into a beta and we launched in Miami and Austin, Periscope and Meerkat launched. And we went, we better ramp this up now and accelerate our plans. So we sort of hurried up with our development work, integrated what we needed to, and then sort of relaunched. But the interesting thing is our target market is very, very different to the other competitors out there. Our target market is high school kids, some college, but we really want to get that early adoption. And for us, it's very, very important. They're a great market to have. And what we find is...
Well, no, I mean, and I certainly understand, and I can see how onLoop would appeal to that market. But, you know, when I see what you can do, I mean, that you have this live streaming ability, what comes to my mind is here, for example, Apple just had their Worldwide Developer Conference, and if you want to see what's going on, if you go to the Engadget website or you go to some of these other websites, you get a running sort of like a description of what's happening with snapshots, and it's always like maybe 2 or 3 minutes after it's over, and they're frantically trying to keep up, you know, what's going on, what's announced, and everything, and you don't really feel like you're there. It's the next best thing to being there, but it's sort of okay, well, all right, I'm kind of following on what's announced. They made an announcement that happened 3 minutes ago, and I'm finding out about it now.
Are you saying that onLoop might be good for actually getting coverage out there?
Yeah, in other words, you're a reporter and you want to get live coverage to what's happening, let's say the keynote, it could be Apple or anybody. You're there, you're actually you're streaming it live. People can watch on their cell phones what's going on with the presentation and see it, and not wait 3 or 4 minutes for updates. They would get it instantaneously with onLoop. Would you say that that's a good application?
You know, Ben, that's a very good observation. You're absolutely correct. And we actually are in discussions with several brands right now to implement that very ability for them. The interesting thing with that is the way we approach this was it's a perfect platform to experience real time, in real life. And what that means is that when you're, you know, a lot of these brands that do big productions, and whether you're a Monster or a Red Bull or an Apple, and your production is a big factor of your marketing, what we find is that with our platform, they get to really connect with their customers in a whole different level. It's very, very realistic. And while it's cool, for instance, to see Garrett Hill, do a skateboarding trick where it's recorded on YouTube and then it's uploaded, it's a way different experience to see him talking about it beforehand on a live stream, doing it, seeing it from a couple different angles, and then landing it or not landing it and seeing the whole thing unedited. So you're absolutely correct. So it's a very, very interesting approach, and it is something that we're pursuing pretty aggressively as well.
There you go. Well, see, that's what I thought makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have this technology. Why not use it to your best advantage? And I would think, I mean, again, granted, okay, getting, concerts and things, that's wonderful. But you have, to me, I see so much more potential for onLoop because you cover things live. You're literally turning anybody with this smartphone with your product into a live broadcast camera, that people can watch in real time. And I think that's extremely powerful.
Absolutely. And the example I used in a discussion last week was, if you look at the development of TV production, 25, 30 years ago, TV production is very, very expensive. You have these elaborate sets, you have editors, you have cameramen, it's a big production. Then you have reality TV that came, and still expensive, but your sets are fixed, somebody's house, it's outside. So you don't have these elaborate, build outs, so to speak.
Sure.
And now the evolution with us is we don't need cameramen, we don't need editors. We just need a bunch of people with iPhones to run out and go and film a show.
Oh my gosh! Talk about a live reality TV show, all done with people with onLoop running on their cell phones. Good grief! I mean, okay, that would be really something. I mean, again, it would just be pretty much an hour worth of watching live streaming from people with their cell phones. I think this would be an incredible experience. I mean, look, I watched the I'm sure you did when movies started. They started this genre where I think it was Blair Witch, where it wasn't a big camera. It was somebody holding a high quality video camera, and you watch the entire movie with the video camera.
It's like you were there,
shaking and moving and around, but it was like you were there. Okay, some people got seasick, but the point is people enjoyed it, and we've seen many other movies kind of follow that. Well, I think for reality TV, this would be incredible. An onLoop streaming of reality TV.
Well, I definitely agree with you. And in fact, we have 2 shows launching next week. So we have what's called Uber Confessions, where we send a couple of our thrill junkies to ride in Uber in different cities and kind of do a reverse take on Taxi Cab Confessions, where this time they get the Uber drivers to talk about some of their secrets. And it's a very, very cool show. And that launches next week. And then we have a couple other ones as well where we're finalizing development of, but exactly following down that path.
See, great minds think alike. See that?
Like just throwing all of our great ideas out there. The one that just caught me was, we here on Computer America, we're going to be covering a lot more conferences coming up, and every one of us has a smartphone, but before we would just kind of record things and kind of take it after the fact. But if we could do this, if we could use onLoop, we could actually live cover, let's say, CES or E3 or some of these bigger conferences.
Right now, we're turning that over to clips that our correspondents do. Our correspondents are live, but they're pretty much glued down to the stage. We're up on stage there, and they're pretty much glued down to that. But if we could if they could take this with them and somehow incorporate that into a live stream.
Yeah. So how's the data usage? Like, is it like 1 hour show and then your data cap is going to be hit and you're going to get a huge, like, does it prefer Wi-Fi? How's the data on this thing?
That's actually a great question. So typically a lot of your Wi-Fi broadcasters are running around 400 to 500K at a time. We're down to about 160 to 180 at this present moment. And it's fairly good, but it is a live broadcast, so it is data intensive. And yes, it does work better on Wi-Fi. The only caveat is a lot of people need to realize is what's important is your upload speed and not your download speed. And a lot of Wi-Fi services have a very limited upload capacity. So that's one thing to look for. But for a live show, cellular works great as well. There's no sort of differentiation unless you have a poor cell signal.
Yeah, of course, the big media events that what Ben was talking about, E3 and CES, they're usually their internet communications are stretched to the max. They do have press rooms that you can go to and use that, but of course, all that's changing. I mean, the landscape is changing. They're getting. What was it? Was it in Virginia? Where was it then?
Vermont. Vermont Telecommunications is getting 10 gigs a second.
Up and down.
This year.
Up and down. Yeah, exactly. So if Vermont can do it, I'm sure Vegas can do it. It's going to take time, but it's all coming. And obviously, you're a little ahead of that infrastructure, but why not? Because certainly you can take advantage of what's available now, and then as more bandwidth becomes available,
it can only get better with the way networks are going nowadays.
Yeah, we feel the same way. Absolutely.
Okay. So, what challenges did you face during this development process of onLoop? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
That's another great question. Gosh, let me think. The hardest part, I think, about any startup is getting a product to market. And just like anything else, I think Mark Zuckerberg says it best, which is finished is better than perfect. And that's always going to be your biggest challenge. It's when do you stop iterating? When do you let feature creep not affect you anymore? And that was our biggest challenge is, getting the right product to market where it had enough features where we could get adoption, where it was functional, it worked, it wasn't buggy, and sort of really getting that honed down. And we feel did that beginning of this year in February. We launched, as I mentioned earlier, at South by Southwest and at Function Fashion Week in Miami. And we thought we had a terrific product. And after doing beta testing, during the launch, we essentially were watching users activate and use the app. And what we realized was it was taking too long for them to learn the app, and it was taking too long to onboard them. And we said, in a digital world, how are we going to make this work? Because to get that sort of critical mass, you've got to have it so it's pretty fast moving. So we essentially shut the distribution down, reworked the app for about 9 weeks, relaunched, and now we think we really got it nailed. And I would say that was definitely our biggest challenge, is getting to that point.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think you have one of the most important features, and that's really, like, it started taking off just a couple years ago, but this whole idea of a live stream but then the interactive chat room, like it's not so much, hey, here's what I'm doing, come watch me do it. But I think the moment you start giving people the option to, say their mind, talk with other people who are watching it, you turn it to a much different viewing. It becomes something completely different, because then it's not just a bunch of people watching one guy. It's a bunch of people talking with each other, all participating in watching this guy.
And that's a very good point. And we actually call that the sharing of common interests. And that's why we built our platform around context. So essentially, that context could be CES, and anybody interested in CES can join that loop and engage in a discussion, share different viewpoints while they're live streaming. And we thought that was crucial. And, from a human psychology standpoint, most of us function context first. For instance, when you wake up in the morning, you may say, I'm hungry, I want to have breakfast. But what you don't say is, I want to find my wife, and then I want to have breakfast with her. I mean, we'd all eventually get to that point. But the reality is context first is how your mind works. And we thought from a social media standpoint, it should be the same thing. And that's why we built it the way we did.
All right.
Makes perfect sense. Let's see. I think we only have about a minute before our bottom of the hour break. But when we get back, I kind of wanted you to touch base on how are people going to discover new streams? Like, are you building a platform where you're going to be able to have keywords and search? Is it going to be a fully fledged, or is it like by invitation only, where you have an established audience and then you share it with each other?
Yeah, that's all good points. I mean, and how do you expand that and to kind of explain a little bit more of this the crowd streaming process, and how you reach that crowd and how you promote your live stream. These are all important things when we come back. AK?
So think on all of those, and then we'll be
exactly. Okay, AK, we're gonna continue on. You're listening to the Computer America show. Ben and I are talking to the CEO and founder of onLoop. It's one word, onLoop, and basically this is a live video stream ability coming to your smartphone, to your media device. Basically, you can take any media event and bring that live media event to everybody who's participating. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. We'd also love to see you in the Computer America chat room. We've got a news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up as well. You're listening to the one and only Computer America show. We will be right back. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's the fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Stand by for more of the same. It's Marty Winston with the News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America. This time, the Hampton Brinks commercial-grade padlock. How many episodes of Storage Wars do you watch before you start thinking, maybe the gym locker padlock you put on your own storage space, just maybe it isn't enough? We turn to the advice of Hampton Products, the manufacturer of many products under the licensed Brinks Home Security brand. We saw several good designs on their website involving very tough-looking laminated steel layers, but they responded with an even better choice, the new Brinks commercial padlock, ready for this model 672-52001. The laminated body gains an elastomeric jacket, little rubbery jacket, so it won't scar the surface behind it. The 2-inch body is formed from 26 laminations. The 2-inch shackle is a hardened boron steel alloy. The dual ball-bearing lock mechanism resists hammer and pry attacks. The brass lock cylinder has 5 pick-resistant pins. The specs say 7,000 pounds of resistance to prying, 11,000 pounds to cutting. Bottom line, getting past a Brinks 672-52001 commercial padlock may not be impossible, but it won't be quick. It won't be easy, and for any but the most determined of intruders, it just won't happen. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Thank you, Marty Winston, for that News Tips Bulletin Review. But right now, we are talking to A.K. Sands. He's the CEO and CEO and founder of onLoop, and right before the break, we kind of left a couple questions in the air about what kind of platform is this all going to be on, because live streaming and having the ability to do this is great, but if there's no way to get an audience, then it seems like a lot of work with not a lot of payoff.
Yeah, how do you get the audience?
That's a great question. So essentially what we've done from a marketing perspective is we've targeted communities. And what that means specifically is we've targeted the action sports community. And right now our approach is to aggressively get anybody who follows skateboarding, who's a snowboarder, who follows dirt bikes, and so forth, to get on our platform. And we've done that by using skate pros and broadcasting shows that are something that's relevant to them. We're currently pretty aggressively targeting high schools and colleges. And right now we have a very strong push in the West Valley of Los Angeles. And we're actually getting a tremendous amount of traction with different kids here who are becoming influencers for us. And it's really starting to get some virality, which is terrific. And what we're seeing is that as we get more and more kids on and more adoption, there's all these really interesting use cases that are popping up. And that's been essentially our big push now. From a brand level, we're approaching brands that target those communities. And, it's a pretty easy approach when you tell a brand, you can approach, you can do some marketing on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. And yes, you're going to get a certain response rate, and you're going to pay a CPM or whatever metric you're going to buy at. But the difference with ours is the audience. And our captive audience are responsive. They're looking for something to do. And essentially the difference with the way that we do our marketing for brands, which is very interesting, is, for instance, let's say it's an energy drink. If we'll put one of our skaters on a live stream drinking an energy drink, and then we'll broadcast that out to our captive audience of kids and college students. And the response rate is much, much more, how can I say, aggressive than an untargeted sort of ad. And it's been very effective for us.
And you know, that makes perfect sense. It's worked for a lot of companies before, and really for good reason. It doesn't just kind of throw pictures at a person and say, hey, do this, do this, do this. It gets them engaged, and I don't think people are going to be offended by that, by product placement. In fact, they enjoy that because they get content that they enjoy, that is also being, you know, helped provided by, you know, the brands that they you know, that they probably enjoy as well. So that makes perfect sense. Is this only going to be for smartphones? Please think about that first.
You know, it is actually only for iPhones right now, and that's from a development standpoint. What we've learned is that it's better developed for one platform, get the app really refined, and get it working. And to extrapolate that question a little bit out, as well as sort of backtrack and answer the previous question, one thing that we do is we've created a very cool social platform. And what we've noticed is that for kids in that 15 to 18-year-old demographic, there's a very strong argument to be made of them using iPhones more so than Androids. And what we did was, by focusing on iPhones, we were able to really sort of focus on that area. And then when we developed the app is we built out a way for them to follow each other. And in doing so, they're able to build these audiences. And the interesting thing about that is, with the notification system that we put together for the app, is when they do start live streaming, the audience is notified, the audience can engage, and it's been a very, very effective sort of use case for us in building that sort of virality. And it's something that I think we're going to even develop out even more over the coming months.
I'm kind of curious, how did you get the name for onLoop? I mean, I have all the things I would think I would call this service. onLoop doesn't leap to mind. So where does it come from?
You know, Craig, that's a great question. And
we ask a lot of great questions on this show.
No, you certainly do. When we originally started developing the app, as I said earlier, it was essentially to be a better way to text as a messaging platform. And what we came up with was a way to demarcate these different message threads into what we called loops. So eventually we're going to call ourselves Loop. And essentially you could have a private loop or a public loop. You could have a loop with your family, a loop with your work associates, a loop with your friends. And each one will be a different way that you share, because the things you share with your family are different to the things you're going to share with people at work. And at the time, we didn't feel that there was any social media platform that really allowed you to do this in an effective way. And by having these different loops, we felt we could solve that issue. The challenge was, when we tried obviously to get the website, it was at a price that we felt was very unreasonable. So what we did was we did the next best thing, is we got onLoop. And then we started sort of going around and trying to figure out what we thought was the best name. We started trying to put different words in front of loop and put loop in front of different words. And we noticed that there's a certain flow to a good sounding name. We thought was a good sounding name would be Instagram or Snapchat. And those syllables almost staccato. They roll off your tongue very easily. The problem with loop was it's a long sounding syllable. And we figured, okay, the best thing we could do is place something that's a short sound in front. And then we looked and we're like, we already have the URL. Let's just run with it. And it sort of became its own name, so to speak. And here we are today.
With onLoop. Wow, it's really
onLoop.
onLoop, and that's how it came to be. Did we really explain what you mean when you use the phrase crowd streaming? Or can you explain a little bit better?
It's essentially using a crowd, a live stream, and in doing so, show you a really vibrant, multidimensional perspective of what's being seen. And a case in point I would bring up is the the idea of bystander apathy. So if there's an accident on the street corner, every person is going to see it their own way. One person is going to think, oh, this person was at fault, somebody else, that person was at fault, or a dog ran in front of the car, or whatever their different perspective is. It's always going to be different. And what we thought would be really interesting is a way to actually capture that. So depending on which camera viewpoint you're looking through, you get an entirely unique perspective.
Well, there's hardly a place or time you can be at where there is not somebody with a recording device, because all the everybody has a smartphone. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Did you see the photo of the Sports Illustrated cover of the horse that won the Triple Crown? Like, the picture there had the horse in kind of like the middle ground, and then in the foreground, the whole crowd there. And like, if this was like, the 1920s, it would be everyone with their, with their round hats. If it was the 1970s, everyone would be there with their, whatever hippies wore. But like today, there were probably about 50 phones in this one photo at this horse race, because everyone was filming the same event. Yes, there are professional camera crews all around you who are guaranteed capturing better footage than you are, but people love to pull out their phone and have their video.
Well, not only that, it makes everything public. I mean, in the news today, you have these policemen who are brutal to
Oh, you're right. We haven't even discussed about live streaming police brutality. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can stream, you can photograph anything and everything today. There's nothing that you can do where you're going to be quote unquote private when you're in a public area. I mean, somebody somewhere is going to have a camera, because cameras are everywhere on today's smartphones and tablets. And so I think that's my point to you, AK, and that is, and if you're certainly at the right place at the right time with bringing something like onLoop to the marketplace.
Well, thank you very much. We like to think the same thing.
Okay, so
let's say that I have a phone, I have onLoop, and I'm at an event that has I believe you call them a loop, that already has a loop, at it. Can you just kind of jump in and say, hey, I'm going to start streaming a different viewpoint as well, and you just join it? Like, how does it work?
So that's a very good question. What we did was we built it out as simply as possible, but as robustly as possible. And what I mean by that is, when you join a loop, there's essentially two permission settings. There's open, and then there's what we call read only. So let's say that I'm doing a corporate event and I want to broadcast, let's say I'm IBM and I'm doing a developers conference, and I want to be able to live stream to our developers. And I want to be very specific what I show. I would form a loop, set it to read only, which is the radio button, essentially. Which is a toggle. I would set it to read only, and then I can go to each person on the loop, and very easily I can assign them the ability to broadcast, so that I can control who's on the loop and who can broadcast. The other option is I can form a loop, and the default setting when you form a new loop, which is to keep it open. So I could, on the flip side, if I'm IBM and I wanted everybody to be able to engage, I form a public loop, and then whoever's on can live stream, and it's sort of a whole big collaborative effort. So you really have those two options. Then the third approach is, when you form a loop, you can either form a public or a private loop. And a private loop would potentially be my family's wedding. So I'm filming my family's wedding, and let's say I have my sister, and I have my brother, and I have a bunch of different people that are going to be live streaming, and then I have family in the UK. Well, I don't necessarily want the whole world to see my family getting married or someone in my family getting married, but I want my relatives who aren't able to come to the wedding to be part of that celebration. So what I do is I form a private loop, and then I invite them to the loop. And with an invite, they can come and join it, and they can engage. While anybody who's not invited can't search for it and can't see what's going on. So it's sort of the best of both worlds, and you can choose the path that fits the requirement of your live streaming.
But AK, what my question is in that last scenario, for using that as an example. So let's say I have my family and relatives watching, but I've got like 5 or 6 family members doing streams. How do I control who sees what stream when they come in? Am I acting as the director for all those streams? Are they?
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. So essentially, you have a loop, which it looks very similar to like an SMS chat. And then on the top, we have a bar. And on the bar on top, it shows as a small thumbnail, you get to see each live stream that's coming in. And we refresh that thumbnail every 10 seconds. So for instance, if somebody's showing the bride, every 10 seconds on that thumbnail, it's going to show you the most current picture. So you can actually press that and go into that stream. And then you can swipe left, swipe right, or you can hit your back arrow and come out and go back into the chat thread. So it's very, very intuitive and it's very simple.
Interesting. Okay, so there's really, from what I'm getting, there's no central. In other words, all the different family relatives are not going through my loop, and then people are actually just tuning into me, and then I'm controlling whose stream is coming on. Or can you do that? It's like a star configuration.
So whoever has created the loop, we call them the loop moderator. And the moderator has the ability to turn off loops. If the permissions are set that anybody can stream, then of course anybody on that loop can stream. But if there's somebody who shouldn't be streaming, the moderator can turn them off. But other than that, as soon as somebody starts streaming, a thumbnail will appear on the loop thread on the top, and you can just essentially go there by pressing on it. And if there's other streams, you can press one of those, or you can swipe left and right between them.
So it's up to the viewer to watch which stream. If there's more than one stream on a particular event, it's up to the viewer to click on whatever stream they want to watch at the moment. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
Much more interactive.
Yeah, because if you're at a conference, you're watching one stream. You say, I wonder if there's a different or a better angle, or somebody's closer in the audience to the speaker. Now, can you do the thumbnails reflect basically are the thumbnails live, or they kind of give you an idea of what's going on when you look at the thumbnails?
Thumbnail show is a current snapshot that we refresh every 10 seconds. So we thought it would be a little bit too data intensive to have them continually running real time. So we thought what the best use case would be to have them refresh every 10 seconds.
All right. Now, is this available in the U.S. or do you plan to expand out to other countries? I mean, what's the projection for onLoop?
We're actually in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada at the moment, and our intention is to go into Latin America next, and then Europe, and then from there we'll sort of assess how things are working, and then our plan from there is to essentially go into Asia.
I thought you were gonna say space, because you got the whole.
We'll leave that to Elon Musk for now.
Okay. But eventually you plan to have global coverage with this.
Yes. Most definitely.
So, well, since we're talking about the future here, any possibilities for maybe like being able to tune in on your computer? Like, obviously not broadcast from your computer, but to tune into loops using other devices.
That's a great question. We actually already have that built out. We're currently in the process of testing that, but you will have the ability within the next 4 to 5 weeks to be able to log into a specific URL and be able to see live broadcasts.
Of course, with that, you'll probably have a bigger screen, so you can have more of a a more better multimedia experience with that live stream if you're watching it on a computer screen as opposed to a little.
Well, not so much that. It's just when I'm sitting here at my computer, like I actually enjoy, because I've, no offense to traditional television, I've kind of given that up for the joy of, this service is actually very similar to Twitch. And you guys said that you were kind of interested in the gaming market, but then Twitch is doing something very similar, though it's very, very limited in that you pretty much have to be broadcasting from a computer, which is fine for Twitch. But this is, you're able to get up and get out to so many more events. But I still like to sit at my computer, do something else, but be able to kind of tune in and, and maybe listen to a concert or watch that guy do wheelies on the Sunstrip, be able to watch these things. It would be such a great feature that, I think a lot of the younger generation are really into, because they really aren't watching TV anymore. They're looking for content just like this.
Oh, absolutely. And, we think Twitch and Machinima and a lot of those platforms are really, really terrific. And, absolutely. The interesting part is, and obviously we're seeing this big shift towards mobile, is, who's going to sort of capture the mobile live broadcast space for games first. And it's sort of up for grabs right now.
Exactly. So let me ask you this: Is onLoop? Is there a charge for onLoop? What's the monetization of onLoop going to be?
So we intend on keeping it free. Our monetization plan is pretty simple. We're going to build out an ad platform eventually. Right now, we're trying to get as much user acquisition as possible, of course. Eventually, we're going to be doing more with our branding outreach. Right now, we're working with different brands to do what we call, sponsored content, where, as I mentioned earlier, we use our Thrill Junkies to promote a specific product. We put it in the hands of our skate pros, and then we broadcast that to our audience. So that's a monetization plan that's been pretty effective for us, that we're starting to expand on. And the thing about that is, because it's not really invasive, and we kind of make it in a way that is very entertaining, it doesn't really affect any of our user acquisition efforts. So our core focus is to keep pushing with that until we have a substantial user base, so we can justify focusing on a rollout of our ad strategy as well.
Okay. So right now, there are no built-in ads of any kind, that type of thing, is what you're saying?
No, there are not.
Okay. Yeah, it's ad-free.
But heck, it works for a lot of companies. Sponsored loops would be, perfectly fine. And I think a lot of people would actually enjoy that.
Yeah, I would think so. I think that that might be a route for you to explore. Listen, AK, we're almost out of time here. Again, if people want to find out more about onLoop, they can go to your website, which is onloop, onloop.com, and they can see it pretty much for itself. When is it's going to be the actual app is going to be available when?
We've actually been live for about 2.5 weeks. So we actually are available now, and it can be downloaded from the site.
Okay, bleeding edge. So go to our
So iPhone and Android?
Just iPhone for now. We'll probably start developing Android in the next 4 weeks, and then that will probably take us about 7 to 8 weeks to get that out.
Okay. Starting with iPhone, then going to the Android platform again. So sorry to break in again. It's just it seems so. Maybe a little bit of a glitch with your blog there at blog.onloop.com, but you kind of announced there that you were available for Android. So, my bad on that one. Okay.
Gotcha. That was for our beta rollout. But thanks for pointing that out. Get that corrected.
There you go. We'll correct that immediately. Okay. So, AK, listen, I want to thank you for being here on the Computer America show with us. It was a pleasure having you here, and best of luck to you and with it. I can think of so many things where people with their smartphones want to stream a live event rather than recording it and then putting it up and then emailing it out. Can you just imagine just your live TV studio and you could bring the event to everybody at a moment? What a great idea for a party or event or plans. I think this is a really great idea whose time has come. And AK, best of luck to you with this, and thanks for being here on the show with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. You take care. Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye. All right. Now, coming up tomorrow night's show, it's our big E3 coverage. That's right. E3 has been up. The event started a couple of days ago, and we've got partnership with Pop Zara magazine is out there. Nathan Evans is out there.
Yeah, they were kind enough to be our eyes and ears for the event. They will be joining us tomorrow night to talk about all the big releases, all the big keynotes, everything that E3, like a lot of the really big announcements should be out by then. So definitely tune in for that, and we'll get you a lot of the discussion with people who are, again, actually there.
Yeah. Tomorrow being the 17th of June, that's, the actual E3 event begins like the day before.
From 16th through the 18th. 16th
to the 18th, so we're going to be right in the middle with it. And again, Nathan Evans and Josh Boykin and maybe even one or two other.
I believe a gentleman named Corey may also be showing up here on the Computer America show as well. So maybe someone new.
Yeah, someone new. All right. And again, we're going to cover all the things, all the surprises, all the events. Think of us as your E3 station, covering both hours. We're dedicating to E3 on tomorrow night.
We'll definitely have to get them to take pictures and send them to us so we can fill out our photo bucket for Computer America.
Yes, we've been
looking a little lonely.
Yeah, it's been sorely lacking our photo bucket. We need to beef that up, and what better way to
90
start
seconds.
Some of the things, photos and coverage from the E3 convention, which is on. We'll cover it on full tomorrow night. So that wraps it up. Again, thanks again for being here with us. Thanks to Zaniac in the first hour, who was with us. And again, best of luck, and thanks to CEO and founder AK
60 seconds
from onLoop. And thanks to all of you for being with us here tonight, here on the eve of our E3 coverage convention with Pop Zara magazine. So
we can't wait for it either.
Yeah. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. 10 seconds.